Hey everybody, this is Kim Barker of Brightwire, welcoming you to another episode of Music in the Minor League, where we talk to bands still grinding it out in the minor leagues of music. This week, we're joined by our good friends, John and Rebecca Stoll from Grifters Shills. We've known them for many years, we've toured with them extensively, and have even been in their band for a couple of shows, but you'll hear more about that in a bit. Before we start, we have a few housekeeping items and updates on the band to get out of the way. First off, if you like what you hear, please subscribe to the podcast and tell a friend about it. That's the best way you can help us grow our audience. Second, if you like the bands we're talking to or talking about, go follow them on your streaming network of choice and tell others about the music. That really helps with finding new venues to play and reaching new audiences. Third, if you'd be interested in appearing on the podcast, hit us up and let us know. We'd love to talk to you at some point. Finally, we have some shows coming up in the new year with Grifters and Shills we want to let you know about. The first of which is January 21st at the Old Quarter Acoustic Cafe in Galveston, Texas. Second is February 17th at Shoeshine Charlie's Big Top Lounge in Houston, Texas. And also features Junebird on the bill. We'd love to see you at either or both of those shows. Now we're going to kick it off with one of my favorite songs from Grifters and Shills, Never Again, Again. And then we'll get to our discussion. Hope you enjoy the episode.
Your lies like the back of my hand. Another night, never again. Oh, I know your lies. Oh, you said, baby. Oh, you're talking crazy. Oh, you're gonna make me. Oh, fall again. Another rat, here we go. I know your lies at the back of my hand. Another night, never again. Oh, I know your lies. Oh, you say you're sorry. Saying, oh, baby, don't you worry. Oh, you never meant to hurt me. My hand. Another night, never again. Another night, never again. Another night, never again.
We are here today with Grifters and Shills, John and Rebecca Stoll, live from the Sterling Municipal Library in Baytown, Texas. We've met them a few times over the years, and we really wanted to get our first real guest, someone we kind of knew a little bit about. So we decided to ask the Stolls to come hang out.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely.
It's awesome to be here.
All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go with, because the one person I know the least amount about when it leads into music is Rebecca.
I do talk all just like blah, 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 blah. She's better to talk to.
Can confirm. We'll come in. We just know Rebecca's always been like the kind of mystery person out of the Stoll household.
The elusive.
It's like I really don't know. When I was thinking about that today, I do not know a lot about Rebecca.
Well, there's not terribly much to know. I mean, that's why I let John do all the talking.
That's not true.
So the good question is, what led you here? Like, what age were you like, I want to play music?
Oh, man. I mean, I've always wanted to sing. Like, that was, even as a kid, like, I had visions of, I want to be the singer. That went all the way through high school, college. I did choir stuff, but that's not the same. But I wanted wanted to be, front and center stage, just being a vocalist. And I actually had an internship in college that was for just a community newsletter. And the guy who I was taking over the editor job from was a neighbor. I hadn't met him, but we met to kind of discuss the job. And he played in a band. And so we kind of got to talking about that. I was taking guitar lessons at the time. And so we decided we would just jam a little bit. His wife played bass, and my boyfriend at the time was a drummer. So we all just kind of got together, and it was just a jam session, maybe a couple times a month. And eventually that grew and changed enough that we had an opening for a guitarist, because I certainly wasn't pulling it off. And after interviewing several candidates, this man to my right walked in the door, and the rest is kind of history. We hit it off immediately with chemistry and just communication. And
Wait, was the drummer boyfriend already out of the band?
yeah.
Okay, cool. I was hoping like
I
somebody
guess I
sorted
skipped
like
a little
dueling.
chapter. Yeah, no,
Well, he was out, right?
we imploded, and then he imploded, and
Right,
then
John's
the
like, y'all
band
were dating?
imploded.
I had no idea.
No, we had a much better drummer by then.
I'd say it'd been a better story. John walked in. I was like, and we need a new drummer. This is the one. Is that maybe why John plays drums now? It's because he's like, I ain't letting you. I know what Rebecca
Trying to capture
likes.
some of
Oh,
that magic,
yeah.
Right.
No, I allow him to play drums in spite of all of that.
I know what Mama likes. Can't. Got to do it too.
You've been married a while. You got to spice it back up, you know?
That's
I'll play
a spice I
drums
can
too,
do
girl.
without. That's okay.
Yeah. So you never did any singing like alone in high school? You always just sang with other people?
I mean, a couple of little, solo things with choir or little ensemble things. But
So the band that you were in was your first real
yeah,
experience of singing?
Yep.
And you were playing at the same time?
Barely.
Okay.
Mostly singing. As soon as we could find anyone else to take over the guitar, I was happy to relinquish that because, not my thing.
So I guess that will bring us to John. From seeing your playing, I'm guessing you started playing guitar at a young age.
Yeah. 17, I think, is when I started. Prior to that, it was piano. Like, I hated piano when I was forced to do lessons as a kid. And then parents were like, you don't have to take piano lessons anymore. I was like, great. Stopped taking piano lessons. And then I loved it because I would just do my own thing. But the piano was too heavy to carry around, I found out.
Facts.
And so I was like, man, guitars are pretty light. And I got one and determined it was an unplayable instrument because it didn't work. Like, it's too hard. But then life, like things going on in life motivated me to like do nothing but play guitar, like stay up all night and just play and play and play and play.
So you didn't have much of a social life in high school and early years of college either.
I had 3 friends and they were all in the band I was in. So,
Man, that is like a recurring theme for us guys. Like that's your whole nucleus of friends
Yep.
for that. And then the band breaks up. You're like, I can't talk to them anymore.
yeah, I don't know.
It's like we never had anything in common.
But along with that was bass. I mean, the first instrument I played in a band was bass guitar. And it still to this day is probably like my favorite stringed instrument to play. 4 or 5 string bass. I love guitar, don't get me wrong, but like bass is like, love bass.
So I brought this up at your house this past week, and and I'll say it too. And I don't mean this is. Some people think this is derogatory, but y'all do have a very kind of Spinal Tap-esque journey in music, to where it was like Westbound, which was like very. I don't know. I remember briefly because we decided over the years that we had played together at the show, but I just remember a couple playing with us there. But y'all were more, I guess, acoustic stuff. But I remember seeing like the album release where Rebecca was sporting leather pants and stuff. So that was, so you know how much, if y'all got really metal there or more rock.
Was it just edgy folk or what was it?
Yeah, I would say, I mean, we started out, it was a very fiery beginning because we didn't really have a plan. And so
No plan
we
at
were
all.
beginning this relationship and there was a lot of life drama going on. And so all of that was influencing what we were writing, what we were playing, what we were wanting to express. And so the thought when we started playing together was, oh, we'll do like jazz in cafes and that kind of thing, acoustic duo style. But we had all this angst and all this fire. And so it became this just real aggressive acoustic stuff that was outside of a genre. I don't think we ever figured out how to pin down that original stuff, that very early stuff.
No, it was a thing. Like, let's see how many strings we break this show. Like, on an hour show, it's like usually the G string would always go, and then sometimes the D string.
Damn
Rig.
G string every time.
Always the
I
G
know.
string.
I know.
G strings are tough, man.
They realize, especially if you put them on backwards.
Yep. If they're not snapping, they're riding up.
Exactly.
And then that brings us to another chapter, which you can say, I remember you told me, Chad.
Oh yeah, I think we were on a bill with you guys. The first time I'd ever heard of you was probably at like Ronnie's. It was probably for a benefit for somebody.
It was Ronnie's, yeah.
And it was funny because I didn't get there when you guys played because I had something going on, probably being an adult. And so I get there and I was like, oh man, what was this band? And I was like, it's Grifters Shills. It's kind of a cool name. And Chad was like, I think they're like a gospel group because he'd seen y'all and it was like real preachy. And I'm like, what? What did I miss? And so then fast forward down the road, we played a show with you and I'm like expecting like, all right, here we go tell it on the mountain. Hallelujah. Right. And then it wasn't. And it was like, Chad's really off. Like, what in the world? So yeah, it was great when I finally got to hear you guys. I was like, okay, now this makes total sense.
Right. I don't think it's Chad's fault though. I mean, because to your point about like starting in one place and ending up in another, like we just weren't paying attention to what we were going to be or were supposed to be. We just didn't care about any of that stuff. And our compass, like if you can imagine a compass needle just spinning around, like that was our musical direction.
Yeah, trying to find where we fit.
Okay, so the gospel thing's not crazy, right? Like y'all.
But
it's in the roots.
It's still in there. Yeah,
I would say
stuff now.
Yeah, and I would say we didn't.
Albums ago.
We didn't start out saying like, oh, we want to play gospel music, and
right.
spread the message. But
you weren't trying to be Warrant or Striper, right?
What we were
Definitely
kind of
not.
exploring, we were looking at a lot of the dark influences of religion, especially in the Southern culture, and so. I'm like embracing that in lyrics and we're having fun kind of composing with some of that and embellishing some of these old traditionals. But I don't think the darkness came through in a lot of that chapter.
Because you're like super nice people.
Right,
Yeah.
I know. I've got to work on that.
And I remember when you guys got blacklisted from T-Bone Tom's, I was like, I can be friends with these people.
That was great.
We're cool.
That was great.
Like I was like, because I remember someone telling me that. I was like, wait, the gospel group got kicked? All right, let me check this out.
Well, that was my thing. Because when we met y'all, it was what we decided 5-6 years ago.
I think 6.
I think so. Yeah.
6, yeah, because we had played the Friendswood
The Art in the Park down
park
there.
thing, and I was all fired up because like the schedules got messed up. We were supposed to be on different days,
Yeah.
and then somehow we got
Oh,
put.
yeah.
And then unfortunately, we had to like follow y'all. It was like cool. That's back when Kim had one song she sang.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it was always tough. Everyone was like, "Oh, I can't wait for her to sing again." And then like it never happened. Everyone was like, "She needs another
We were still working on it.
song." Well, no, but it used to always be funny to see people's faces like, all right, when's she going to sing it again? That was really good. And it was like, now I'm still like,
Always gotta leave 'em wanting more.
bastard stuff. What'd you say?
You got to leave them wanting more.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So I had seen y'all's name forever, and we got there, and I was like, okay, cool. But I mean, that was still, Rebecca was playing the U bass. You had banjos and shit on stage. Like, it was, y'all were getting crazy. And then it was like,
I remember y'all needed the truck to get all your equipment to the
Right,
stage
right.
and back to
Yeah.
your car.
That's
So it
insane
was a lot of instruments. Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know
I've been
why
in
you thought
full
that
bands.
playing the guitar would be better than the piano. You carry
Right.
like 16 guitars. With
You kind of do what you know, even, you know,
John
if you
already
try
had
not to.
that piano muscle built up. He's like, I can carry 12
Pretty much.
guitars.
Yeah, and I'll carry a banjo to any gig. Like we stopped that ridiculousness finally.
But we kept getting called bluegrass, and it's
Yeah.
like, y'all, this is not bluegrass, but it's our fault for having a banjo.
That's
we did that to
exactly right.
ourselves.
I just remember it never stayed in tune.
No,
It'd always be like, let's see if
No.
this will stay in tune.
Like, nope.
It was like, oh, wow. And then it was like, didn't see y'all for a little bit, not as far as performing wise, like we see y'all socially. And then it was all of a sudden like Rebecca had an electric bass, and then you started doing the full, you were still just using the board then. And all of a sudden it was just like John's metal guitar influence came out. It was like, oh, wow.
Well, we got tired of like, and this is around the same time that T-Bone Tom said get bent. We got tired of like being pushed in a corner and be like, oh, they're cute and acoustic and they're not too loud, and that's what they do. And I think that it just like the creative voice inside was just getting literally smashed down. And so we just kind of said, forget it, man. I'm gonna plug into an amp. I'm gonna start doing things. I don't care. She got an electric bass, and her learning the bass too, which is a good part of the story. She learned bass along the way because she had to. Like she didn't start this deal playing an instrument. And realizing we're trying to like hold a bigger sound, and like, well, there's a great way to do that. It's to play an instrument. So she has learned literally while playing in front of people.
Oh, that period of time trying to figure out
wow.
how to sing and play at the same time in those early days was like, I was convinced it wasn't possible. Like we're going to have to get a bass player.
Bass vocals is way harder.
way
than
harder to get
guitar.
to.
Yes,
Yeah.
I agree 100% with that.
Yep.
Yeah, and the best part is like when you're learning an instrument and singing, and then someone's like, "Oh yeah, by the way, we're going to play a show." Right? So you're like, "Oh, okay,
Great.
I'll do that. That's the best way to get it figured out. I guess trial by
the
fire.
panic really motivates you to get it together.
Yeah, I think that helps because, like, when you're playing in practice, like, okay, we can stop. I made a mistake. Let's start over. And live, it's like, well, gotta find it back. It's always great when you're like a fret down. All of a sudden, it's like, and you're like, there, we're back to the right route now. It's
We
like,
just went off road for a minute. It's fine.
Just repeat it 4 bars later, and it's like, it's fine. I mean, you meant to do it.
kind of like when you're typing and your finger gets off and you have that whole second half of the word is all these wrong letters. It's like that. Like once one finger's off, it's like, and off until now we're back. And then people come up afterwards like, dude, that was great. And you're like, inside, you're like, no, it wasn't.
No, it was terrible.
do it again.
Didn't you
But
hear?
it shows how little of the stuff we hear that people hear.
Oh, gosh.
And they're like, dude, that was great. It really added to it. And you're like, yeah.
Yeah.
I have to
Polytonal
give
bass
you-
run, that was nice.
I have to give you kudos. I can't believe you learned to play and sing at the same time. That's
I was
something that still eludes me.
There are some rhythms that I just cannot do and sing. Like I cannot. There's some part of my brain and the hand they do not connect. It doesn't work.
Like that shuffle bass
Or they're
line.
connected too well. I don't know. But it
Yeah.
doesn't. I can't do it. It cannot be done. It's impossible.
But it was the same way, Kim, you talked about like how you sung like one song and then like no more happened. It was the same way we started like
Yeah.
there was one bass song.
Okay.
And then later on there were like 2 bass songs. And so it built that same way.
It was a Reverend Peyton song.
Yeah.
It was
That's right.
Them Old Days.
Them Old
That
Days,
was
yeah.
the first song I learned
Yeah.
any bass on
That was
at
a
all.
gateway
So
song.
I'd pull the U bass out for one song and
That's
put it away.
Reverend Peyton's Big Damn Band.
Yes.
That's right.
Please check them
Nice.
out. Good people there.
I'm not crazy. Yeah, you played ukulele though at some points too. Like,
I kind of picked that up along the way. Yeah.
'cause I remember.
Yeah.
I remember that. That may have been from the EQ Heights deal.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Because I would write on ukulele. That's primarily what I would compose on. And
Who
then
else do we know that does that?
That's why I do it.
it's like we have this connection. I don't know.
Yeah, we talked about it.
But I like hearing the story about, you guys and, John came into practice and you were like, hey, what's up? Because that was kind of what happened with us and y'all. Because we went out, we saw y'all play and did that. And y'all were nice. I think y'all took some cell phone pictures of us. And then we hung out afterwards for a few minutes. And Kim was like, they have to be our new best friends.
I was like, we're going to stalk them until they are our friends.
They don't know it yet.
Right.
They don't
Here
know.
we are 6 years later.
Yeah.
Damn
right.
glad y'all did. Too.
I'm glad you did because
But
I'm
we
so
were-
introverted. I wouldn't have done it.
Oh, no. I wasn't going to go hide under the stage.
Kim's the forward because otherwise there's
I'm
been
the
like,
stalker.
like, that was cool. Bye.
Looking down at the ground at your
I just
shoes.
went-
Yeah, right.
We just been at a bunch of y'all shows, but never actually talked to you if it didn't just me.
Like, yeah, these guys are always in our shoes, but they
People are
never
here
talk
again.
to us.
Right?
And then somewhere along the line, the switch flips, and it's like, that guy, remember when he used to be quiet? Now Sam never shuts up.
He talks so much, you had to have a podcast.
Right?
Well, I have a question for John because then we're talking about vocals. Have you always sang in your bands?
Oh yeah, I sang in I sang in choir for years coming up, and then in the band that I was in high school, I sang. I would strictly call it backup vocals, like
Okay.
back. And then other bands, I was in various bands for years, mostly playing lead guitar, playing bass, and I would only sing if it was like strictly called for, or if I'd had enough to drink, but not nearly what we do now. And when we started out, it was like, all right, we're going to be a band called Westbound. We're going to play jazz in the corner of a little coffee shop. We're going to make money, and I will play acoustic guitar and say no words, and she will sing, and it'll be great. So that was the original design of the band. if
Yeah,
can
you
have
didn't do
design.
any of the harmony
No-
at
no
all.
harmony.
I think our first record, you put a harmony track on one song.
Yeah,
And
and
that was it.
I buried it in the mix. And so that came about really, I don't know, a couple of years in.
Yeah.
Whereas we're trying to like build this, we're trying to like push it and have a bigger sound without having more people in the band. And that's just like, all right, let's do it. But yeah, harmony vocals, that was, I've always heard like if you're a good bass player, you're probably a good harmony vocalist, even if you don't sing yet. Because it's kind of the same part of your brain that figures out how to interconnect lines together to support the melody and all that stuff. Same way you do it in a bass line, same way you do it in a harmony line. And I love harmony singing. Like I love it so much.
I can tell. You don't do that many leads, but I can tell that you enjoy singing together.
Yeah. No, I'm not a good lead singer.
I would not say that, but I would
beg to
say
differ,
that
bud.
you. Yeah, I would say that you.
I remember playing Revolution Bar with you guys, and Miss Rebecca was having a throat night.
that's
She was
right.
off.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you took the reins like a big boy.
That's right. And I just use my metal voice a lot.
You did,
And it's
dude.
like,
You brought it
that'll
home.
work.
People love it.
Yeah.
Because they watch him with all these antics and and like, what's he gonna do? What's gonna happen? And it's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 tricks. Use your metal voice and turn the volume knob on your amp up a lot. And then it's fine. Like,
You got a good singer, make a fool of yourself. People be like, yeah, that's what I always do.
He's
can
endearing.
relate.
That's what it is.
Right now. So look at that big dude. He hops around stage and does this. I don't even notice how terrible a vocalist I am next to Kim until Kim sings, and they're like, ooh. Or
Whatever.
when Kim stops singing harmonies, they're like, ooh, ooh. Ooh, that's what he sounds like. Ooh. That's one thing, I'm always amazed with is like, y'all practice a lot, huh?
yeah.
Yeah.
At least once a week.
Because y'all
It's
sing
obvious.
together, and it's like, man, like I couldn't imagine having to sing that tight.
It had become a thing when we first started doing harmony stuff. Like, it had become a thing. And some of our writing, which we're actually getting some of these old songs out. We're doing some special shows, like acoustic shows next year. We're getting some of these songs out. We realized we wrote the thing where we're interchanging who's actually doing melody and who's doing harmony. So it'll change over the course of the song. So we were really into that style of melodic composition at that time. And in order to do that, you have to be exactly with each other the whole
Yeah.
song.
Yeah, I think the only band, of course, again, it was Married Couples. Glossary is the only band I can think of that had that same tight,
Yeah.
like male-female harmony vocal, like almost every line is
Yeah.
just like, but it stands out, man.
It does. In fact, it made me made me realize that I needed to sing more with Sam, and that it was okay if I sang everything
Yeah.
with Sam, because you guys do a lot of that where you sing the entire song together,
Yeah.
and I love how that sounds.
I think we only have a couple now that I just step back and you do the entire vocal on, like some of the bluesy cigar box stuff.
Yeah, that's the only time I remember that
Yeah.
John's really out on his own is this cigar box.
It doesn't really fit. The harmony doesn't really fit that
No.
style. It's kind of weird. So.
It would be weird, like dual harmony blues song.
Right. I'm feeling low down. Here's a perfect major third harmony.
That's right.
That's real pretty, y'all.
It's real nice. I'll admit to not being completely up to date on the Westbound Grifters and Shills discography, but I know there are many, many albums, like 5, 6.
Let me think.
I know 2 for Westbound.
Yeah, and then we've done, I'm losing count.
3, 4.
4 for Grifters. 5th one's in the works.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's growing.
And 3 of the Grifters albums were like 2 albums. It was part of like our intentional transformation from like, we are not your grandma's folk band who's being quiet in the corner. We did a folk album, all like traditional folk songs. And then I think there are a bunch of songs on there.
I think like 15.
15 songs.
Yeah.
We did that. Then we did a blues album to say like, here's these other places where we studied, and it's almost all electric. So we did those, like one year we did one, the next year we did the next one, and the next year we released Pretty Little Secrets. So those 3 went very intentionally year to year to year, just to like, here's the shift. And of course, Pretty Little Secrets is fully electric.
It's kind of the album that
And killer, by the way.
Oh man.
and then it kind of got crushed by the COVID
Damn
wave.
pandemic.
Yeah.
Like
I
right when
know.
it came out, So if anyone listening, you need to go listen to that record.
It's a little album that could.
That's my favorite record that we've ever recorded.
It is on all your major
It
streaming
is.
networks.
Yes.
Right.
All over the
And
internet.
you can buy it on vinyl, CD.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
We recommend it.
Yeah.
Because that was, of course, also for us, it was better because that's when we were playing together a lot. So it's like, these are all the songs that we know from playing together.
Right. Well, and y'all were our trusted ears too. We could send you a mix or a bunch of mixes, and y'all would take a listen and be like, "Don't do that, don't do that, do that." It's like, 'cause it was nice.
Well, as like I said, the final mix was tough because you sent it and it was just like, we started freaking out. It's like, we don't have anything. Like, they won't believe
no
that we listened to it. It's like, I don't know what to say. Like, I don't know, maybe just a little more.
Well, I think
highs
maybe
and
that's what
lows.
happens when a sound engineer records an album, though. You kind of get through all that on your own.
Yeah.
That is a good,
Eventually.
that is a good part. Yeah, you bring that up that we can go into is that not only do they write all their own songs, mostly they do covers, but they're tasteful, nice covers. They make it their own. But y'all also do all your own production and recording.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For better or worse.
Yeah, I think we've only worked with a producer on one record, and it's just there's so much more freedom, I think, in having it in your own home, and for better or worse. There's definitely a little less pressure on the timeline, but then there's also less pressure on the timeline. So
Right.
you can You can really get kind of lost in it, but it's just, I don't know. I feel like we have our best expression by being able to be so close to it.
Yeah, and the DIY thing is like the DIY, just that whole like way of thinking, the whole ethic is like super important to us. Like I mow my own lawn. Like we put up our own Christmas light. We do like everything ourselves almost to a fault. And I'm like, dude, you should ask for help. You're lying on the ground in a gutter. Like get some help or whatever the case is. But like in the recording sense, like I went to school to be an audio person. I love it. I've always been close to it. I've had a day job for 20 something years doing audio, so it's wonderful to keep doing it. And I guess it affords you like, well, you don't have to pay for, engineering and producing and all that. So you save a ton of money so you can release more albums.
Yeah.
But you definitely do pay in time. It is when it's album recording time, it's like, that's your time away from your day job, and when you're not gigging, like that's what you're doing. There's really nothing else you do for a little while.
It's all encompassing.
Yeah.
When you're recording an album.
Yeah.
So when you went to school, to audio engineering school, was that something because you were in bands and you wanted to do it, or was it something where it's like, oh, this would be interesting?
Yeah, no, I was in like, it was first of all, I didn't believe that it existed. Like I thought, because I was in a band in high school, and I recorded our little high school demo on a 4-track cassette player, and where we were like bouncing the drums down 3-to-1, 3-to-1, 3-to-1 until it just sounded horrible, but they were all on there. And we like did a glass mastering process to get a CD way back in those days.
Yes. That's old school.
Oh yeah. And we figured all that stuff out, and we did an album, when we were 18 years old. But then of course I was encouraged, I'll say, to go to the engineering school, to college. And that did not go well at all. So out from the engineering school, I went in a truck with no money and was just on my own. And a friend up in Lubbock called me and said, hey, they do audio school. I was like, don't lie. There's no school for audio. You just go run audio. People do it, and there's no money in it. He's like, no, go look. And so I went and looked, and lo and behold, there's a school where you can learn audio. So I went there in Levelland and just loved it. Like I would be in the morning, I'd be waiting for the janitorial staff to show up to unlock the door. And in the night, they would come get me out of the studio and saying, it's 9:00. You need to go home. You've been in this building for 14 hours every single day. Like It was, passion beyond passion for it. Like
It is. Like I like that. Even when I get to recording stuff now, it's once I start, I'm always scared. Like I put off starting because once I start, Kim can tell you, it's like, okay, I'm not going to see him for days.
Right.
Yeah. There's a little bit of a involvement that you have that you can't stop.
It's just fun because you're like, we'll change this, we'll alter this. Wouldn't this sound cool?
Yeah.
And then you go through and you're like, oh yeah, it did, but it's not what we want.
Right. But it is absolutely like, and so Rebecca doesn't have like the audio background, and that's why it works, because she can come in kind of like more as a producer and look at it with perspective and say like, dude, that idea you're trying is terrible. And I was like, I just worked 4 hours on that, but she has the perspective and I don't, so we delete it and try something else.
No, it's this very cool technical thing that I know was hard and was a lot of work, but it doesn't necessarily serve the song, so I have to make the decision like, who am I going to tell him, or do we let it go?
And that's always our agreement in the studio. Like I'm free. Like just when you and I were working together, I just threw some ideas at you that I'm sure you listened to and you're like, wow, I can't delete that soon enough. But that was like the whole idea. Like it's just free to express, and like,
And the other side of that is, granted, I did not go to audio school, but I've done plenty of sound at like venues and things like that, and health the same. So I think it helps a lot. Like we're on tour, there's really not much we can get thrown at us between the three of us that's not like, oh yeah, we can run this.
Oh man, some of those PAs on the
right. Like, we can make this work, dude. We got this.
I'm so glad we're in a band with you.
Here's a trick that we can do to kind of make this work.
Oh my gosh.
Because I just look at the board and go, huh? I mean, at least y'all know what you're doing.
Been to places where I basically have rewired, like, I used to professionally do like audio systems and stuff. So it's like, I can leave me alone for about 20 minutes. And it's like, you have this all run wrong. Like, thanks. Now I can have my free cup of coffee you're paying us with to play here. All right. So good thing to get to. Y'all have a new album coming out. Well, it's coming out next year, and it's going to be starting to be recorded in about a little over a month.
Yes, at some point next year it will come out. No. Hopefully sooner than later.
So what's the plan? I mean, there's one thing about y'all that's kind of annoying, because I'm normally like, all right, can we get to 10? Can we make it a full 10 record? And y'all are like, this one has like 18 songs. Behold, there's all of our like 2 albums worth of songs.
They use both sides of the CD.
That's right. Flip it over. There's a lot more space.
Oh man.
I think, how many songs are
I
it?
think it's 15.
I hate you guys.
13 or 15. I can't
remember which one.
remember.
See, and that follows that. Yes. It's good to have that bit of animosity towards the people you love as well.
It is. Well, they challenge you. You know,
But one
they
of
can
them-
do 15. Maybe I can do 15 next time.
Right.
Maybe I
One
can
of
write as
them-
many words as Rebecca does.
Just got to say them real fast.
One of the songs, we might put a cover on it.
Oh,
A Towns Van Zandt song. Just because of the continued involvement that we all have with the old quarter.
Yeah.
It just kind of feels appropriate. But it's a maybe right now. I don't know. But yeah, the idea is we've kind of already started. We started in July and then got really badly sidetracked in August. But the idea is to hit it pretty hard January, get it out by late spring, early summer. It won't take too long. We have a better concept of what this album's going to be from the get-go. And yeah, that's the idea. The challenge is to figure out how to release an album in basically an all streaming, limited physical thing world. It's just
Yeah, it is strange right now because, like us both, we did our last records on vinyl, and it's like due to people like, you got Taylor Swift releasing 35 LP versions of her new album. And it's like, well, cool. That's 35 bands that aren't going to be able to
Yeah.
press records from all these independent pressing plants and things like that. All these major labels. Now it's like, cool. I can't wait a year and a half to release a record when I finish it.
yeah. Because the major labels don't have their own pressing facilities anymore.
No,
They use the same thing. Same people.
Right.
Why
work
would
on.
they have that?
That's what was funny going to pick up our records in Austin. It was like you walk in the warehouse and it's like, oh, like these are our records getting pressed right next to insert major label bands and all this. And it's like, cool. At the same time, it's like, oh, cool, man. They got done the same place as this, but the same place is like, that's why it took 8 months to get these in. Okay.
Yeah. We're thinking it might be you do a streaming release and I guess you still have to run some CDs and then start the vinyl process. And whenever that's done, like that'll be okay, now it's on vinyl and it's a thing, maybe you hit it twice.
Yeah, it's kind of like what we did. Because remember, we kind of
But it
We had
wasn't
to
on
wait.
purpose.
Yeah,
no,
we
it
had
was
to
definitely
wait.
not on purpose.
We definitely had to wait.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think what the issue is now is like, what is for independent artists who are releasing their own music, through streaming services that are more or less single based.
Right.
You can't. It's hard to release an entire album to the same kind of reception that they used to have. People want little bites of things instead of an entire album.
Yeah.
And I think
definitely not the attention span for it. I think it kind of
that's
feels
a
like,
good.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's
that's
very
a
much
good word.
check this song out. It plays for 5 seconds. All right, next song to check out. Like,
Right,
whoa.
but it's like no
Yeah.
one told Tyler Childers that because he put out 3 albums. Right. And it's like, hey, bud, those are amazing, by the way. Get those if you can, because it's worth your time.
Yeah.
But it's just so weird. Yeah, we've totally changed the format. It used to be about an album, the way it feels, and writing a whole album almost feels futile. Like we're just doing it out of our own narcissistic need to put it out there. And it's like, yeah, most people are going to listen to track 6.
Yeah.
And that's great.
Right.
Well, I think for me, it's the hard part about doing, even with the EPs, you start obsessing too much over like these few songs and start doing stuff you would never do otherwise. Just like, well, we only got these 3 songs.
You're right. So
It's like,
go all in.
I can instead of spending 3 months on 10 or 11, I could spend 3 months on 3. It's like, wouldn't it be cool if we did this? What if we did this?
But I do think that it's a generational thing. I think it's the younger people are into more just like little singles. And because I was talking to somebody the other night who just released an album, and I said, I really enjoy the track order. Like, I think it's a really good album from start to finish. And he was like, thank you. Like, I worked really hard on that. Like, nobody ever says that anymore. I think that's true. Like, people just don't. I look for an album, but I am almost 50, I'm not the young streaming public.
Well, and I think part of that shift is if you look at a lot of these young artists, like the one we work with, Nolan, like when he comes and plays, he has new tracks every time he comes and performs at open mic.
Yeah.
And that's pretty impressive. And he's constantly putting music out. So I think their whole idea is that, well, music should be almost instantaneous. Like you should be able, and like, yes and no. Like I still have to do my day job.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, I'd love to live in a studio and work 24 hours a day and do it that way, but it's just not feasible.
I was looking at that band, Cleopatra, who we saw a while back. They're really good. I was looking at their Spotify, their discography, and they have like 80 albums or whatever. One song. That's it. Release one song, done. One song, done.
Yeah.
They don't do albums. Like, it's a totally different way to even think about it. Kind of blew my mind.
Wasn't it Radiohead, like probably almost 10 years ago, started just putting out EPs for a while?
Yeah.
Like they just like, we're not putting out full albums. And it was like they saw the curve coming and we're like, huh, Maybe they were onto something. Those rascally Brits.
I still want to make music for people like us who like an album too,
Well,
you
like
know?
that, like Samantha Crane would do. She released every 6 months. I think she started out with like a 2-song EP, and then would write like 2 more songs, then release like a 4-song EP, like an actual separate release on Spotify that was the first 2 songs with the 2 new ones.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually it was like the 4th release ended up being like a 10-song record.
Yeah.
And then she had that pressed, but it was like it filled up 8 months worth of time. You'll get these songs here, these songs here, these songs here. And then, you know, there'll be 6 songs you'll have, then you'll get a 10-song album. That's like, here's the 4 new, but they're on this album and you can get all of them. And, you know, what do? It's just throwing darts. I think it's always been that way. It's really, you look back, like, it used to be just a singles game. Everyone just released singles. Mm-hmm. And then about the 60s was where it was like, dude, we're going to start doing full, and it was mostly rock band. Like, we're going to start doing full albums, concepts.
Long play.
Long themes. Before that, everyone was just like, we did it. We wrote this song, get it put on a 45.
That's true.
Pump some cover out to put on the B-side, and we'll get that out to everybody.
Go pay your payola, and then you're it. That's it.
And now I'm famous.
And then
you
you
guys-
mad when the quick cover you threw on the B-side is the one that blew up.
Right.
So you guys already have a concept for this new
Yeah.
More or less. Yeah.
I think the working title of the album is Fireball. And then like the art concept is still very much Rebecca
another
does
thing.
all that whole thing.
Because I always do our album art. Well, on most of them. And it's kind of a big question mark now. What do you even do for that? Do you even put any time into it? Because it's going to be, you know, a thumbnail on a screen. So,
That's true.
you know, it's kind of, but that, I don't know. To me, that's the whole package, like the track order. It's the whole package of it, this whole expression that you're putting out. So it still matters to me. I'm still going to spend time on it. You know?
Well, and I think it's driving at something you said, Kim, about like how do you do it? You still like albums that are done a certain way because that's just what you like. It kind of drives the question to me, like why do any of this? And the beauty of it is why do it is because we're passionate about it, because we absolutely love it. And so we're going to do it in the way that works for us. Mm-hmm. And the way that works for us is like, it's like you working on the art, and even if it is, you know, a 10 by 10 pixel square, like there's good art down in that square.
Yeah, but sometimes I think online that stuff, people will see it. We're fortunate that we have our own artistic director in Dan. You should check out Dan Torres' art.
He's pretty awesome.
Daniel's pretty great. But, you know, he's always one's like, can I do this? Can I do this? Even when I put out the logo for this one, he's like, can I clean this up? Which I still haven't got. So if I don't have it by January, where's that, Dan? Still my bad art. All right, now that we've covered the album and all that, you know, we did spend some time this summer out on the road together. I don't know about y'all, but I got to actually see like a couple of my new current favorite bands just by being out on the road together this summer. It was pretty wild.
Such an amazing trip.
And yeah, it's something worth bringing up is you want to hear about being your buddies and stuff. Like John and Rebecca actually had a slot on Pawnstock up in Nebraska. We were on tour together, and rather than just have us sit there and clap, and they were like, hey man, that's a few months away. Why don't we start practicing and we can do a part of the set. We can do like a set together. There's not many people who would go like, hey man, we're going to give up part of our festival slot to do like a dual Griftwire band and make this work.
It was the only way we were going to play that show, because I mean we just because. But then in my mind, I was like, man, I think this could be really cool. Like, and it's funny, like some of that like has come back when we come back from tour, has come back into our local shows. You know, we're playing a venue, and like there's Kim, like get her up here to sing with us. And so this happens regularly. And of course, we constantly call you and like, can you please come stomp around and make everybody happy on our last one song?
One
Happy
song.
Happy Bear Stomp.
That's right. Stick around for the whole thing, but one song. It's all
But
you.
yeah, it's funny that it developed that way. That was never the intent. The intent was like to figure out how to share those 2 slots, Pawnstock and Choice City Stomp.
Well, see, we did the Pawnstock, then the Choice City Stomp was booked as legit. Like, this is what's going to happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it wasn't, it was just like, you know, hey, we're just going to play this set. And it was like, okay.
Yep.
That actually is where it got scary. It was like, okay, this isn't just going to be a one-time thing. Like, we got to actually do this in multiple places
Yep.
and make it work.
And we
Well, I
practiced
knew-
for months. It was great.
Oh, yeah. It
I
was
knew
great.
that the scene, like the people that up at Pawnstock and Choice City and that whole scene, like I knew those people, and I was like, I know that they're gonna love what y'all do. Like they don't know your songs right now, but they will, you know. You never know where your next favorite song's going to come from.
That's very true.
Would
And
your
I
aunt
think
used to
that
say, like, you didn't always know that song, now you love it.
That's it.
Yeah, and it was just a trip on that whole thing, to go about where you don't know where your next favorite song comes from. Because we were at Pawn Stock where it's like, we're going to die. I'm so tired. So
It was
hot.
so
it's
hot.
so hot.
And it was like, I'll watch one song from the Hoot and Hollers. Then all of a sudden, it's like 30 minutes later. It's like, okay, now like, my legs are literally buckling. But it was like, there was no chance, like, dude, we got to watch this for a while. Like, this is amazing.
Well, that same thing, and this is even comical now, looking back, it's comical to even say. At Choice City, we got there early before the event even started, like 2-something. And, last band's going on around 11-something. And last band is like, I'd heard their name before, but like I'd never seen them. And I was like, all right, I'm going to do what I can. I am having trouble staying vertical, but like I want to see at least some of this last band.
Those festivals are killer.
It's comical looking back to think that I wouldn't have thought that I'm not going anywhere for this last band. And we didn't. We stayed the entire time.
I'll
yes,
just
we
stay
know.
for
It was
2
great.
Slim Cessna songs.
It was like, yeah, we're going to stay for just a couple of Slim Cessna Auto Club songs. I know a couple of them. I've heard on mixes or whatever, but they're cool, but I'm not going to, I'm exhausted. Like, we've been staying up too long. We got to drive from Fort Collins to Amarillo.
yeah.
And then it was great. Like, I think it was by the end of the second song, we're all at different points in the room, but we all kind of made eye contact at the same time with each other. And it was just like, we're staying.
We're here.
Yeah.
And like the collective question, like, what is actually going on is amazing.
I can't look away.
I'm still, it's going to turn to the end of the podcast will be the Slim Cessna Auto Club gushing. But I still just can't imagine that band practices.
Right.
Like, they get together, like, in like cargo shorts and t-shirts and set up in a room and just, all right, dude, what do you think about this bridge? And it's like, no, like those shows just magically happen exactly that way. Like,
Well, my favorite part of the whole thing was that, because we played 2 bands before Slim Cessna's Auto Club, and the lead singer for Slim Cessna, for the band, came over after we were done and put his hand on Sam's shoulder and kind of did a laying on of hands, like nodded his head and said, without saying words, was like, that is good. And Sam didn't know who it was. So Sam was just like, oh, thanks, man. And then
he was nice.
Come to find out later, like, it's the dude in Slim Cessna's
Oh my
Auto
God.
Club.
And then poor Slim Cessna himself, and he had to be tortured later. He's like, well, he came up and touched my shoulder earlier.
Now I have to go
so I
talk to
can run
him.
over there and just bear hug the poor guy before the encore, side bear hug, not full out. And he's like, dude. And I think I'd like sobered up by that point. So I wish I could say like I drank like a lot and it was ridiculous. I was just like thank you. Yeah. Like I didn't even know, you're my favorite band until right now. But thank you. Like I'd heard it and I just didn't know. I was dumb. I didn't know.
That has been probably like my favorite thing about being in a band and getting to write and get on stage is being out where other bands are and just being amazed.
All the time. All the time. And
They
then
do that.
like those
Wow.
people that maybe you've heard them on Spotify or you'd seen some DVD or whatever, and they're so far removed. And then suddenly they become people you hang out with and they're friends. They're basically that chosen family. And it's all just because you share this amazing art together and this desire to create it and put yourself out there and like experience that together. And it blows my mind all the time, the people that we've met and played with and that I consider friends now. It's unreal.
And the generosity of those people even in non-musical situations, like the people I have met through music have been some of the kindest people I've ever met in my life.
I totally agree. The phrase "competition kills it, cooperation wins it" is one I learned in music circles, and learned it way back. And I keep seeing it over and over and over again. It was like this. I like this way of living. I like these people. I like everything. Just like matches up, and like this is great. It's all exactly how I like it.
It really is. Most times we play places, it's because somebody put in a good word.
Yeah.
Somebody did that. Someone allowed us to come in. Someone booked a show and let you come through their hometown to share a bill. Same thing. We play a ton of shows with people who is like, yeah, we'll help you out any way we can. Even if we can't play on the show, it's like, hey, you need a place to do laundry or take a shower or stay the night. We got you. There's been so many bands that we've happened to see that were amazing. And then, people you didn't even know, we've had people crash on our floor from, like Sarah Shook and the Disarmers. Like, I didn't know who they were. And I went to that show and it was just like, oh, like, dude, you are about to come to my house.
Holy cow.
Like, oh my God.
And y'all are like, up here.
Well, I'm like, I need to hide everything we've ever recorded because I don't want you to hear any of it. It'd be embarrassing.
Takes all the guitars off the wall.
Right.
Hi, we are not musician folk at all. Please don't pay attention. And, but other people, it's not even the whole like star thing. It's just like, man, like y'all are amazing. Like there's so many bands that unfortunately, just people just don't know about that are just blow your mind. Like there's so many amazing people I've seen in a room of 4 people that, are just friends of ours that came through town. And you're just like, I can't believe that dude just came through. And
because as songwriters, y'all know what's in it. Y'all know it's the hours and hours and hours of crafting when no one's watching. Like that's the work. Like it takes a long time.
All right. By the time this comes out, it'll be over, but we will have had an amazing show at Ronnie's Hog Heaven with Whiskey Dick, who we met while we were out. We actually played 2 shows with this summer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Who are really
nice people.
Just
nice.
Good
cool
dudes.
Like, it's like how often you see like headliner bands that are there when the first band starts. And every time you look over and every band starts, they're like either if it's too hot, they're sitting like behind the stage in the shade. They're not far away. Like, they're like, we're here to watch everybody. And it was, same time, it's kind of like, okay, dude, they're watching us.
Oh, yeah.
But at the same time, it's
Pressure's
like,
on.
but then it reaches a point where you're just like, dude, like this is what I want to be. Like, this is like what I
Aspire to.
Yeah, because it's like I'm trying to be that way. Like I want to watch everybody. I want to participate. I'm here to. And I think that's what's good about a lot of these independent music festivals, like Pawn Stock, like Choice City Stomp. Even like we're going to Holiday Hangout in Arkansas next week. The bands are just as much part of the audience. It's like the only time that they're not part of the audience is like, oh, dude, we got to do our 40-minute set.
Right.
And then as soon as they get off, they're back like, okay, who's up next?
Yep.
Can't wait to see who's up next.
Oh, exactly.
And it's really cool. And I think that's have that support in a community. And I think that's
Part of why we all do it.
and I think you lose that at a certain level. So I think it's good. Like it's nice being in the minors where everybody's like community first and everybody's just kind of pulling for everybody and just, creating these moments with people.
Somebody asked me last week if I wanted to be famous, and I was like, no, there's no control in that. There's no.
Oh, no.
I mean, I can create, but somebody's going to ruin it.
You're beholden
want-
to somebody or something at that point, and I think you do. That's when you start getting sequestered into green rooms and you lose that connection. And
Yeah, I just want to be famous enough to be like, hey, St. Louis, we want to come play. And everyone's like, yeah, dude, we'd love to have you at our bar. That's it. That's the highest
That's
point.
that level of fame I aspire to.
We want you to
Exactly.
come play our bar. And, if it gets 50% full, we're happy. It's like, sweet, we can pull like 50 people in every town. That's it. That's basically
That's the dream.
That is my goal. Like, I
Absolutely.
knew if we could pull 50 to 75 people in every city we play, dude, we're rock stars.
You're there, man.
We are.
Speaking of rock stars, we'd like to thank John and Rebecca for coming by to talk to us.
Man, thanks for having us on.
Check back next time. Speaking of the whole old quarter thing earlier, I believe our next guest is going to be Mr. Joel Mora of various Houston punk rock bands and is also the owner and operator of the Old Quarter. So y'all be good out there and we'll see you soon.
Bye.
Hey y'all, thanks for listening to today's episode of Music in the Minor League. If you like what you heard, please share the podcast with a friend, either verbally or online. That's the best way for us to reach new listeners. If you enjoy Grifters and Shills and want to know more about them, follow them everywhere you can online and on your streaming service of choice. They're playing all over the place and they'd love to see you in the audience. Now we're going to leave you with a song from their latest album, Pretty Little Secrets. You may recognize as the full version of today's bumper music. The song is called 255 and as legend has it, got them kicked out of T-Bone Tom's for life. We hope you enjoy it. We look forward to seeing you next time. See ya.
Down to the old corner store, fake ID, and we got some more. Took that detour steel down the O2 track. Sold us up the guy, we were not coming back. Ripping and running everywhere but right, and all we got left is this one last night. It's a long summer day and a hot summer night. South Texas Friday night, fuck or fight. Got nowhere to go, no one to see. Our own little private penitentiary. Got ourselves thinking about that old highway. Gotta get away, gotta get away, gotta get away. Flying down the highway in my 255, wondering if we'll ever make it out alive. Pedal on the floor, don't ask her for more. It's a red light, man, I'll show before. We hammered it down and we made a deal. In a straight 6-fast and American steel. The devil may care, but we don't give a damn. If we're in his heart, part of his plan. You ride with me, you're right at the shrine. Give your heart to Jesus, cause your ass is mine.